Welcome back to another exciting and thrill-filled adventure with DIY Nautical Dream. Okay, maybe that was a little over the top. Anyways, we'll go ahead and get our next video started. Hi, I'm Rich.
I'm Priscilla.
And together we're DIY Nautical Dream.
Welcome back to another edition of DIY Nautical Dream.
In this week's episode, we're going to talk about how not to buy a boat. And we're going to talk about the inspiration behind the next boat we go to take a look at, which is a Hudson Force 50. Here you can see the cutaway image of the Hudson Force 50, and you can also see that it's a cutter-rigged Ketch. And that's also a member of the Leaky Teaky kind of boats. Here's a couple good examples of what a Leaky Teaky damaged deck looks like. You can see the teak is aged, there's cracks, and there's obviously water intrusion from the deck up above. And then it makes a pathway down into the lower part of the boat through chain plates, any kind of deck fittings or hatch fittings. Anywhere there's a penetration in the deck, the water will find its way and eventually start just causing a trail of rot. Soft wood throughout the deck and the bulkheads and anything down below wherever the water continued this path. That's why these boats got the nickname Leaky Teaky. They had a lot of beautiful teak on them, but they also had a lot of hidden rot damage behind the teak decks. So what brought us to the next boat we're going to review was a lot of internet searching, YouTube searching, and just kind of looking around to see what we're interested in next. So anyways, so we got onto Craigslist, started looking around at some boats, and got onto YouTube and started looking around at some boats, and come across a channel called Sailing Zero. So I'd like to take a moment and introduce you to the channel. Sailing Zero and Captain Christian, First Mate Faye sailed this beautiful Hudson Force 50 Ketch Rigged Sailboat. We kind of stumbled across that boat and immediately was really attracted to that style of boat. And it's actually a sailing ketch, and it's a member of the Leaky Teaky family, where they have the leaky decks and the teak and all the beautiful interior work on them. Christian takes this boat and he just really works on this thing and restores it, does a complete refit on it, and he starts sailing this thing all over the place. And his videos, if you haven't seen them, they're spectacular. I would say go back to his beginning, and maybe on the fourth video, he really starts to get his videos down good and starts editing really well. Anyways, okay, so good. All right. So yeah, he gets on his fourth video, he really starts kind of getting his videos together and starts doing a really good job with his editing and his videos and all the photography and stuff like that. So it's really nice. If you haven't seen his channel, I'll go ahead and post it in the notes up above, and if you don't know how to find it in there, ask me in the comments and I'll post a link to his videos in the comments on YouTube. You know, as far as watching Sailing Zero with Christian, he was a really strong inspiration to me and to you. I think at the time we watched all of his videos, and we'd watch several of them until late at night before going to bed and talking about them. And he really made his boat into a thing of beauty, and he really just took it out there, and he would sail it in some pretty heavy weather. And yeah, if you really want to fall in love with the Hudson Force 50, you really want to go to Sailing Zero's channel on YouTube and check it out and watch. And Christian does a really good job of showing his boat off, and his sailing capabilities are pretty solid. He's not afraid of heavy weather or big waves. He'll go out there and he takes that boat through some stuff, and it's a pretty solid boat he has. So I think that was kind of what really got us going on the Leaky Teakies. And don't forget to check out Sailing Zero on YouTube, and you'll be glad you did. Check out Christian and Faye on Sailing Zero. Anyway, so we start really kind of fallen in love. Well, I probably more did than you did, but we both were really attracted to this style of boat. And so we started looking around and got onto Craigslist, Yacht World, and looked around, and we found one locally down in Ilwaco, Washington, and I think it was a 1979 Hudson Force 50. And so,
Okay.
yep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so we decided to go down there and look at this boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have something you wanted to add to it?
No.
No? Okay. So we take this drive after work, and it's probably about a 2 or 3 hour drive, and we go down there and take a look at this boat. We walk up onto this boat here, and so as we're walking up to it on the dock here, this is our first impression of it. It looks pretty nice. It's an attractive style boat for sure from the outside. From the outside, it doesn't look too bad. It's kind of what we were looking for. It's got the nice bowsprit up front. Baby and I really like the bowsprit on this style of boats. We imagine ourselves crashing through large waves out in the open ocean with dolphins jumping in front of us. Just looks like a really nice place to hang out in open seas. Good dolphin platform, dolphin viewing platform. So from the outside, it looks pretty good. And probably one of the things I would recommend not doing is making a deal before you see the boat. Because once we got inside this boat, we really started looking around and seeing everything that was wrong with this boat. It was immediately clear that the deal I tried to make before we saw this boat would have been a huge mistake. So one of the things not to do when you're getting ready to go look at a boat is don't get emotionally attached. Don't try to make a deal before you see it. Don't try to put a deposit on it. Don't try to hold this boat for you. Go see it in person, because once we got on this boat and started looking at it, we saw rotted bulkheads, rotted structure around the windows, a lot of leaks, a lot of wet wood, cracks, you name it. This boat had been sitting for a long time. These companionway stairs were a bit sketchy, to say the least. We weren't even sure they're going to hold our weight on the way in, let alone on the way out. Definitely a non-starter. This is not what you expect to see when you see the ad that says this boat has been recently refit and advertised for $70,000. This isn't what you expect to see. Rotted steps, rotted bulkheads, cracked structure around windows. Just you name it, we were starting to see it. And this is all first impressions walking in within like the first 5 minutes. Not something we're looking forward to seeing. And there's a sad story behind why this boat was sitting for a long time. But a lot of boats have stories of why they ended up sitting for a long time, and this one had a story. I was still looking at it like, yeah, this is something we can do. This is something we can fix. But the entryway stairs themselves were a hazard, and they weren't going to hold on much longer, and they were rotted. And it was really obvious that was a major area of water damage. At the base of the stairs, you can see there's a lot of water damage. This is also an area where there's a lot of structure. There's a lot of floor beam structure down here, and there's also the bulkhead that's behind the staircase, which is also a very important piece of structure there. And these are all heavily rotted. On these boats, water leaks into that area quite often. So that's one of the large areas where there's a lot of damage. And that bulkhead behind there is also damaged a lot on these boats. So that was one of the problems we noticed right away, that I was still looking at it like, okay, yeah, that's fine, we can do this. And the farther we got into this boat, the more things we saw wrong with it, and the more rot and more damage, and just it was adding up pretty quick. I was still interested in the boat. I think you probably were convinced it was not for us, like really early on. I was still trying to hold out hope, like maybe we can negotiate a lower price, something to that effect. But we continued looking through the boat, and there were some areas that were fairly nice. It has an upper salon and a lower salon. The lower salon area was in pretty good shape still. Had a nice little diesel stove down there. On the way to the lower salon, you pass by the inside helm station where you can pilot the boat from inside, which is, it's kind of like a pilot house style. But you see the nice little staircase going down to the lower salon. It's in really good shape. There's a diesel stove down there. There's a nice little desk area, so a little nav station. It's pretty nice, it's in pretty good shape. The forward head, or bathroom as some would call it, is in pretty good shape. It has a stall shower as well, and it all looks like it's in really good condition, and definitely in serviceable condition, so that's a big plus. On the way into the aft cabin, you'll notice right behind the door, once the door is closed, you'll see up towards the top of the door and all around the door frame, the rot is extensive. It goes everywhere. Lots of wet wood, rotted wood, missing wood, and just tons of rot. You can see there's a lot of water damage in this area. The aft cabin was definitely a loss. That was, it just needed a ton of work. There was a lot of rot back there. It seemed like that was one of the major areas of water leaking in. It also had one of those types of beds where you have to roll over the top of the person in bed with you to get out if you're on the inside or the outside. I can't remember which side, but anyways, it's a steamroll bed basically. Continuing into the aft cabin, you can see there's a lot of rot and cracks around the port light window areas. There's a lot of clutter on the bed. You can see you have to duck your head to get into the bed, and it's one of those steamroll style beds. The head area is all destroyed, and the toilet is buried under piles of stuff. Again, more rot around the port lights. It's a disaster. Up on deck, there was numerous soft spots. They had already removed the teak. The teak decking was already removed, but the damage was done, and a lot of it had been repaired, but a lot of it needed to be repaired again just from sitting. Here you can see the teak decks were once removed, and the decks were actually repaired, but due to time and weather, the decks are in need of repair once again. You can see where water is leaking through the deck penetrations down below, causing moisture and wood rot down below. The masts were wood masts, and honestly, I don't know if those masts would have even held up pulling them out to remove them, to make new ones, to use them as, templates or whatever to make new ones. They appear to be rotted and ready to fall just any time. These are the wood masts we're talking about. They're just in really bad, old, decayed shape and condition. They just don't look like they would hold their own weight when they're being lifted out with a crane for any kind of inspection or repairs. I think they probably might have broken up just removing them, lifting them out. But I don't know, maybe they would have made it, maybe not. We talked to the caretaker about possibly having the mast rebuilt or repaired, or a combination thereof. We talked all kinds of things. Obviously this boat had been sitting for a long time and it was in pretty rough shape. And so when we were preparing to leave, I asked, if the owner was willing to move on the price. She was asking, I think like $70,000 for this boat, and it was not worth it in the current condition it was. They had put a lot of money into it. Back when her husband was alive, they put a lot of money into this boat, trying to make their dream a reality, and he passed away in the middle of the refit, or toward the later part of it. So there was a lot of spare parts on board, a lot of extra equipment that had not been installed yet, and needed a lot of updating for the electronics, stuff like that. This is the extent of the navigation electronics gear on this boat. There's just really nothing there. You have some simple dash gauges, 2 breaker panels, and not much more than that. So you'd be sinking a lot of money into this boat just trying to get some navigation and up-to-date electronics on here. So it was sad, but we realized this boat was not for us, right? And I tried to negotiate the price down lower, and he said she wasn't going to be willing to move on it. And I said, well, if we could get it down into maybe the low 30s, we'd be willing to talk and come see it again. But we left. We ended up leaving, and we learned one of the things about this style of boat is this was an aft cockpit style. And really for the Hudson Force, I think the one that would have worked best for us would be a center cockpit style. The first boat shown here is a version of an aft cockpit. The second boat here is shown as a Hudson Force 50 with a center cockpit, and it also has the windows in the back of the transom, which makes it have a much larger aft cabin, standing headroom, everything. It's just much more roomy. It's better designed for this style of boat. The center cockpit actually has a larger back main cabin on it, and it's just an overall better layout for us. And we actually had found one down in California, but by the time we got serious about it, somebody else already bought it, and it was really nice. The interior was in really good shape on it. The engine was seized up, so the engine did not run, and that was going to be one of the issues that's what held us up from really making a solid offer on it in time and manner. But I would say the Hudson Force 50 is a pretty attractive boat. If we could have found the right one, I think we would have been happy with it, especially if we could have found a center cockpit one. But moral of the story is this boat just wasn't for us. It's not to say it's not a worthy project for somebody, but we're looking for a project boat at this time, but we weren't looking for a project like this. And yeah, it's definitely repairable, and this boat's still beautiful. Has a lot of good qualities about it. It's definitely, got good bones. There does need to be some major structural issues that need to be addressed and repaired on it, and the leaks on the deck and all that needs to be fixed. But overall, it's still a pretty solid boat and very attractive looking from the outside, and still has a lot of really nice qualities on the inside. It's just the layout, the size, the headroom in the back aft cabin, overall just wasn't exactly what we were looking for. So hopefully somebody will pick it up and make her seaworthy and beautiful once again. We moved on, and we will be looking at other boats. But what was your overall impression of the one that we went and looked at, El Waco?
I didn't like it.
Yeah. And what was your thing that you didn't like?
Most of it. It's very small inside.
Yeah, I would say the aft cabin on the aft cockpit style is pretty small.
And in the bed.
Yeah, the bed.
You have to get up.
Right. Yeah, the bed's the issue on this style of boat.
And you have to duck.
Yeah, to go back. Yeah, to go back into the aft cabin, you kind of have to duck your head down, and we really don't want that. We want to be able to walk in most of the way, right?
Yep.
So it was a no-go, right?
No.
Yeah. It's a good-looking, attractive boat from the outside. Yeah. The other thing about this one, it didn't have any windows in the aft transom on it. We kind of, after we started looking at these boats, we found that we really kind of wanted the one with the bulkhead aft transom windows, the pirate-style windows. You'll see here, there's no windows in the aft transom of this boat. We really found that we started to like that appearance with windows in the back transom. That's open to debate. A lot of people will say those are dangerous when you have following seas and waves coming in from behind, but it's a look we really like on these classic style boats. This one didn't have them, and some people like them without windows, others like them with windows. It's just a matter of preference. Yeah, if this boat was in good shape and the price was still the same, I think we maybe would have made a deal on it or something, but I don't know. We were still early into the search. We had a lot to learn still about what we're really looking for. For sure this one didn't make the grade, right?
No.
And if we could have got it at a lower price, would you have been interested?
Still no.
So, and that's the thing, we want to make sure that we're both on agreement and we're, bought in on the boat we want together. We both agree with it. We want to find that one. And this one didn't check all the boxes for us. So I would say this was a no-go. And at this point where we're at in the search, we were still just really beginning our search. And this was the second boat we really seriously looked at. And so from here, we'll have to start putting our list of what we really want in our next boat. This one just didn't really check a lot of the boxes. So there's a track.
Didn't meet the criteria.
Yeah, it didn't meet the criteria. So yeah, at this stage, the search continues on, and it's only just beginning. So we'll take a look at several other boats. That's where our search will kind of focus for the next few boats. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So what else would you like to add?
That's it.
That's it, huh? All right, so I guess that wraps it up for this episode. What else? Click the thumbs up. Right?
Do it then.
Okay. Anyways, that's where we're at on our second boat we looked at, right? What else? Spider crawled up my neck while we're doing the video here. So that's where we're at.
So if you like the video,
yes,
don't forget to like and hit the bell button below.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, don't forget to hit the bell, clink clink, ding ding, and like and subscribe.
If you like, you can like, subscribe, or whatever.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to another edition of DIY Nautical Dream.
Whoops. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. Serious this time.
Yep.
Action.
Welcome back to another...
Oh, are we alive? Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Welcome back to another edition of DIY. See, there you go.
Okay. Whoa, what's going on? Spider? All right.
Okay.
Take two.